Here's another important video from the Personal Defense Network. Now we're going to shoot a drill that primarily deals with the change in distance. You know, whenever we're doing a balance of speed and precision drill, we always want to identify which of the four factors or which few of the four factors it is that we're changing. So when we look at the size of the target, the distance to the target, the conditions under which we shoot, and of course our anticipation of the need to shoot, we want to be able to say to our training partners, or at least to ourselves, well, this next drill that we're going to go through will affect this factor. And this factor specifically for this next drill is going to be distance. So as we go through this drill, we want to also keep in mind that these drills are appropriate for anyone who's interested in defensive shooting. Whether someone's gone through the combat focused shooting program or gone through our advanced pistol handling program or even trained with us at all before, really doesn't matter. If you understand the balance of speed and precision concepts and you work through these drills, you will be able to identify areas that you can improve in, areas where you can become more efficient. And of course, one of the ways that we become more efficient is through consistency. With our mechanical skills and our manipulations, doing things in the same way, in the same place, at the same time as often as possible will make us more consistent and therefore more efficient. But remember, you can't be efficient without being effective. And the balance of speed and precision drills will always support that idea of efficiency, effectiveness, consistency, as long as we have integrity in sticking to our principles. So for this next drill, we've got 6 targets set up downrange for each shooter, and each one of those targets has a number in it. I, as the training coach this time, I'm going to be calling out one of those numbers. The guys will do their lateral movement. Of course, Bill and Ken are both experienced shooters, and they're used to working in different types of dynamic drills, so we're going to be going from the holster. Whenever possible, we want to train for the worst-case scenario because we'll always be able to deal with being in more control. But when we're out of control and we're caught off guard, we want to be as prepared as possible for the mechanical skills, such as presenting from the holster, that we need to do. So we're going to go from the holster on the command 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. We're going to let them shoot 2 or 3 rounds at the appropriate target. Of course, they're going to do their lateral movement, do efficient reloads, assess the environment, and then go back to the holster after each string of fire. You guys ready?
Yes. Okay.
Great. Face down range. Stand by for your commands to fire. 3. 5. Okay, good. Guys, don't forget your lateral movement on recognition, on your command to fire. Remember to do your lateral movement, get offline from the threat.
Correct.
1. 5. 'Good. Be sure to pause at the ready position up here in front of our chest before we reholster, and use that overhand technique when we're doing our reloads. 1. 2. 3. And move on those reloads. 5. Okay. We're going to go ahead and move back now. We're going to double the distance to the targets. We're going to have the shooters move back on the line. And we're going to go, again, double the distance, 2 to 3 times the distance that we were at relative to our targets. And we're going to use exactly the same commands, exactly the same idea. When I give out a number, they're going to fire 2 or 3 rounds at the target shape that contains that number. Now, whenever we're doing drills that require a lot of reloads, and when we're moving through a lot of magazines, it's important, if we have extra magazines maybe stowed in our pocket somewhere, that we then move them into the position that we're most likely to actually reload from. So guys, if you have those extra magazines, throw them back into your carriers. You know, it does no good to practice reloading from a pocket that we would never actually have a magazine in during a dynamic critical incident. It makes more sense to continually stage them up to the place where we would need to reload from. Of course, that's going to make our training more realistic, and that's always better. 4. 6. 4. 4. 'Okay, now we'll go ahead and take a look at the targets. One thing you may have noticed, and usually the shooters in the middle of the drill won't notice it, but as an observer you may have noticed that I called the numbers differently whether we were close or far. When we were close, I called 2, 3, 1, and 5. When we were further back, I called 4 and 6. This is going to give us the opportunity to take a look at the balance of speed and precision for each shooter at different distances. Now, I could have told them ahead of time I was going to do that, but whenever we can, we want to try to not be artificial. We want to try to not choreograph for the shooter what it is they need to do. We don't want to mentally prepare them for something that in the real fight, in a real defensive situation, they're going to need to recognize on their own. So by simply moving back, of course, the shooter should recognize that by being further back, they're going to need more deviation control. And if they don't, then we're going to be able to point out to them where the balance of speed and precision might be off. Well, if we take a look at this target, of course, it's a great target. All of our hits are combat accurate. But if we take a really close look at the targets that we shot from the close distance, the 2, the 5, the 3, and the 1, as opposed to the 4 and the 6, remember, if we define this whole target as our combat accurate area, an area that is likely to significantly affect the target's ability to present a lethal threat to us, then we want to use that whole target area. That's going to be more efficient. Well, what we can see is when we were up close, on Kent's target, his groups are rather tight, and he's really not taking advantage of that whole area. But when we moved back, his group started to open up and use that whole area very efficiently. So if anything, we might say, Kent may be a little underconfident up close. Maybe you could have shot a little faster, therefore have been more efficient. You know, like we say, what happens in half a second can be the difference between life and death. It can be the difference between your success and your failure in a dynamic critical incident. So if we can be half a second faster and still affect the threat, we're better off. That's more efficient. So this drill allows us to change the distance for the shooter in the middle of a drill where everything else remains pretty much the same, and take a look at our balance of speed and precision and our confidence in our ability. And we always want our confidence in our ability and our actual ability to be very close. The way we do that, frequent and realistic training in a drill just like this. Check out more videos just like this one at the Personal Defense Network.